Social norms. Holy moly, are there so many of them. So let's take a look at kind of how norms work. It's the usual typical standard stuff that we have to do to be considered. And I'm cringing as I say this, like think about, if you're doing like air quotes around it, like air quotations, like, oh, normal, right? Oh, normal. Think about the times that you would ever use the word like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. That's weird. This is what we're getting at, that kind of feeling of um, not fitting in, peculiarity, not following along with the things that kind of make us quote unquote normal. Again, normal being kind of a cringy word that's loaded with a lot of meaning that can be problematic when you step back and look at it. The way that I teach norms in an on campus classroom, and it's so hard to do. Um, Class starts, and I go sit down in a desk or at a table, depending on the room, of course. I don't take anything with me, not my phone, not anything, right? Nothing. And I sit down and I do nothing. I don't make eye contact. I don't speak. Nothing. And I just sit there. Nothing. If a student asks me if I'm okay, I say yes. And then I go back to doing nothing. And now I've made the room even weirder. Because as we talked about with socialization, we have social roles, right? And what's the social role of a teacher? To be up in front, to be talking, to be, all those things. And I'm doing nothing. Now, granted, if I sat down with a stack of papers or an iPad, or even quite honestly, my phone, maybe students would be like, oh, maybe she needs to send an email or something before class. Still peculiar, but okay, right? But to do nothing and not make any eye contact and not say anything. And I'm purposely doing this because that's not the norm. And it gets students to realize how uncomfortable it is. And I'm the one who's most uncomfortable. Think about it. Like sitting there and kind of relinquishing a classroom to who knows what happens. So here's the thing. I don't stop until a student kind of calls me on it a little bit more, until they go, is this for class? Are you like, what are you doing? Are you okay? Like, really kind of doesn't just ask me if I'm okay, but like kind of goes a little bit more, like questioning me. And the reason I try to wait is because that student is also breaking norms, because you don't call people on their weird, if I were to say a bad word right now, which I'm going to behave when I'm recording a PowerPoint. Normally in a classroom, I would not behave. But you don't call people on their stuff. Well, you don't call teachers on it. You might to like a friend or a sibling be like, why are you being so weird? Right? But not to a teacher. So that person is also breaking a norm. Think about, you can't, personal space, you can't stand too close to somebody, breaking a norm. Think about being from like a family that is a whole bunch, actually, let's, your family, you're just not huggers. I mean, you love each other dearly, but you're just not a real demonstrative, huggy type of family, because huggy is a word. And then all of a sudden you go to a friend's house, or maybe you're dating somebody and their family loves to hug. Oh, they're kissing you on the cheek. They're just, that they just love affection. Like that's the type of thing where maybe you've always wanted affection and you jump right in. But for some people, they'd be like, oh, I'm not used to this, right? Norms. That's norms, the way that we navigate. Sometimes introduction to sociology teachers will make an assignment where you're supposed to like go out and break a norm. I have never done that because sometimes it actually can be problematic to like make people uncomfortable. So as you can see, as I'm going through, a few different like descriptions of it. And the one that I really, really like is unwritten rules. We don't get a manual on how to act. And similar to what I pull in the classroom, trying to point out to everybody by virtue of acting strange, um, that we don't really know that we're following norms until somebody breaks them, right? And so here's the last thing about norms to share with you, that you get rewarded for following them and you get punished for breaking them. So it's called positive and negative sanctions. And so positive sanctions I receive in a classroom as a teacher. Like I say something and everybody thinks it was funny, they laugh heartily. A student, I really, really love like colors and patterns. And so, like a student complimented me on the skirt that I had on that day, something like that. Students, when they're working in small groups in my classroom, when I make my way around constantly, but like when they pull me into the conversation, like they're excited to tell me something, oh man, is that a positive sanction, right? I'm being rewarded by the students by kind of like, you fit in, we want to talk to you, right? Negative sanctions then, punishments. I would argue that the most primary one, the most pervasive one, is that we ignore you. Think about that person who comes up and talks to you and they're like really, really standing there really close to your face, right? What do? Again, you don't go, don't stand so close to me. No, 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 no. You just kind of carefully try and back up a couple steps, right? If they come closer, they like kind of follow you in. You're like backing up a little bit more and you're just trying to act casual, right? You're just trying to act casual, like, oh, like, please don't notice. Please stop standing so close to me. Kind of in that same way, like you back away. That's what we do to people who don't fit into norms. A lot of times we just don't engage. Somebody who possibly has a diagnosis of autistic like behaviors, that they might struggle to fit in with societal norms based upon the mannerisms and ways that they make sense of the world. And especially if there's not a visual marker of disability that somebody can see visually, a manifestation of that disability. So again, these judgments that we quickly make about maybe, I did not realize they had a disability and I thought they were just acting strange, weird. We do that type of stuff. If somebody doesn't fit into the gender binary, that we can immediately tell their gender. These are times that then we worry and we don't interact with people or we kind of stay away. And let's think about that. To be alienated in that way, to be kind of left alone constantly by everyone, for nobody to, you know, consistently, meaningfully interact with you, it can be extremely painful. So we can, joke about norms and me in the classroom and messing with everybody by being quiet. But really, honestly, when we talk about norms, those unwritten rules, all the things that we need to follow to fit in, sometimes, sometimes it can really, really matter. And sometimes we can get really, really hurt by it.